It's Law Nation. DC, for life, not short. The grind for your mind, baby, is on. Come on. Be sure to smash that like button. Let a friend or a neighbor know where to go when they want to tune in to Cowboys Sports Talk and beyond. Heading into week 8. Come on, Cowboy Nation, stand tall or don't at all. Let's go. As the room fill up, be sure to hit that like button. Share this content. Let a friend or a neighbor know where to go when they want to tune in to Cowboys Sports Talk. Let's go. The name is Law Nation. Come on. Yup. Ain't no party like a cowboy party. Yup. As the room fill up, let's continue to grind. Let's go. VIP, baby, I see you. Come on. Hey, all right. Come on. Hey, all right. All right, so the Cowboys heading into this week, and one of the things that's brought to our attention is the trade talk, right? A lot of people are talking about moving this around to get that and moving that around to get this. The Eagles, they pumping up everything. They talking about, hey, they going straight to the Super Bowl. They don't even have to play the playoffs. Playoffs, right? And then on top of that, we just made a move just yesterday. We got a Jonathan Hankins, who's a big boy pushing big body cage. Stop me for the 9-8. I got to sell 1 million copies. So we got him out there. And now, of course, Ezekiel, Elijah Elliott, he didn't practice today. He's nursing that knee. And that's a situation that they have for that, right? And we heard news and storylines that we got Damone Clark. He was out there moving stuff around. And Jonathan Hankins, he will be wearing number 95 for your mind. So, yeah, that's a good number. Y'all know I like 95, baby, for the 95, baby. So, shout out to that. And another thing will be brought to my attention, the Cowboys. The Cowboys, what are we going to do? You know, we got Anthony Brown. We got Neville Gallimore. Will he stay? Will he go? What's the storyline with that? I see Eastside Harold in the house. Appreciate you. Maybe, just maybe, we can go squeeze a Brandon Cook out of the Texans. But the Cowboys need help at wide receivers. There should be no argument to say, hey, man, the Cowboys straight at wide receivers, man. We okay, man. We ain't worried about wide receivers, man. We got doggone Michael Gallup. We got C.D. Lamb, man. We got Noah Brown, so we need help at wide receivers. At this point, show of hands, if you guys feel if Jalen Tolbert can step up and be out there on the field anytime soon. And Simi Frijoko, is he's going to ever see the field? No. Kelvin, appreciate you on the Facebook. And shout out to Facebook. Thank Facebook for all what they do. I really appreciate you all for tuning in. Let me pull up the chat log right here. Appreciate everybody. So with that being said, Cowboy Nation, what are we going to do? Where do we need to go from here? Yeah. No hands. Okay. So, yeah, and what about this right here? We're saving him for a consolation prize. James Washington. Who feel like, hey, man, James Washington may be that hidden element, Cowboy Nation? Law, you was wrong. You was wrong on Noah Brown, Law, earlier this season. You know? You was wrong on Noah Brown, right? Noah Brown showed things down, right? Law, you was wrong on D.A. Dorrance Armstrong. Law, you was wrong on Cooper Rush, Law. Law, could you be wrong on James Washington? You know, James Washington could be the super glue, you know, that sticks everything together for this team on the wide receiver side of the coin, right? It could be that. Or it just be this right here, Cowboy Nation. The fact that Michael Gallup, come on, man, you know, the type of injury he had, you got to expect that he wasn't going to be the same. Michael Gallup, come on, Law. Come on, Cowboy Nation. Polo says Michael Thomas. Shout out to the Thomases, man. He said he's slow. Yeah. We need some speed out there, man. You know, CD Lamb, he's not a blazer. He's quick, but he's not fast, right? He got short area quickness, but he's not super fast. And Gallup, he's got, you know, body control when the ball is in the air. And Cavante Turpin, yes, he's fast, but the offensive coordinator don't know what to do with him. Right? The offensive coordinator don't know what to do with him. But there are speculations for the nations out here, and their GMs are shopping these guys right now as we speak. As you see on the top of this pyramid right here, you see Brandon Cook, right? And on top of that, you see Chase Claypool, right? And then you see Jerry, not Jones, but Judy. So out of these three wideouts, which one you would love to see? I know we like KJ Hamler, but, you know, it's more of the same of a smaller body wide receiver that's trying to make it in the National Football League with no grain of salt that's on the table, right? And we heard of DJ Moores of the world, and they probably want the kitchen sink, the front door, back door, the mop, the bucket, and everything else. Yeah, Lovey VIP says, give me Jerry Judy. I see you, fam. Judy, please. Where's the jet wide receiver? Elijah Moore, he's out there. You know, can we have a cup of coffee for him? Claypool, I see y'all, man. I mean, I was wrong on Simi Fehoko. Jeez. I said Simi Fehoko could be just like Clay Chasepool. And Simi, he can't even find the field, right? He stay hurt. Maybe the ponytail is in the way. Maybe it's not. You know, I don't know. You know, do he need a drink? You know, since he don't drink, he don't smoke. You know, maybe he need a little rough night somewhere in Dallas. Maybe that will open up his mind, his wide receiver route concepts. Maybe, just maybe, right? Sometimes you can't be too much of a saint. Maybe he need to get out a little bit more. Eli Moore or Jerry Judy. This is from Perry Locke. At this point, man, we know our Cowboys. We know how they feel. I think that the guys at the bottom of Brandon Cook on this picture is looking for a big payday. I think that Cooks already had his big payday, and I think for what we're looking for is a bridge guy at wide receiver with veteran experience. And when I say bridge, I'm talking about for the young guys, because the Jones family truly believe in developing and keeping their own, right? So with that being said, I think that the guy that's on the top of this list should be the go-ahead, you know. And we got to contextualize this too. If it's a shorter term contract, right? And if you ain't really trying to skin your teeth or put a lot of oil into it as far as the remunerations, I truly believe that Houston is not that far away from Dallas, right? And I think that Brandon, he will have a better transition to go right up that pipeline. Now, here is the booger bear that's about this. 9 times out of 10, teams don't like to trade. Teams don't like to trade with a team that they got to play down the line, right? So that's a crazy situation. Like Roquan Smith could have been in the pipeline, right? Roquan Smith could have been that dude, that dog, right? But we got to face him this weekend. And they for dog sure not going to help aid the Cowboys in that situation. they still have hopes and promises of making the playoff from their end, right? And every time I play Roquan, every time I hear Roquan, I got to play this right here.
When I come back in my next life, I want to be Roquan Smith.
That's not a bad guy to be.
He's my favorite player in the NFL.
That's not a bad guy to be.
You know, I asked him, I said, do you understand what playing middle linebacker in Chicago means?
Yes.
He said, yeah, absolutely. He goes, and I embrace it. I love it.
And you see there his instincts, his speed, his size. I mean, I keep trying to find something that's a negative, and I can't. I mean, he's right there with anybody in the National Football League at inside linebacker.
Yeah, keep looking.
Keep looking, because that dude is right there, baby. And we got to see him. We got to see him this weekend. I look at this thing like, hey, this opportunity will be just like this. If we blow out the Chicago Bears, right, if we beat them left and right, you know, maybe they start selling off everybody. That's what the 49ers did to the Carolina Panthers. They beat them so bad they fired the coach. They started selling this guy off, selling that guy off, selling this guy off. And then all of a sudden you see with it like, all right. But because here's another thing that we got to understand, too, and contextualize it from this aspect of it, if you really want to be all in with this team. And we see what the Eagles doing, not saying that we have to clean up our house because they cleaning up theirs, but we also have to play keep away. What you talking about, Law? Well, Aaron Rodgers, his problem is right now, I thought, before I play some audio, I thought that elite quarterbacks can make any wide receiver great, but we hearing from Green Bay Packer land that that's not the case nor the scenario with one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever walk this land, right? Aaron Rodgers, woo! Nature boy himself, the golden boy Aaron Rodgers with the 12 on his back, right? You know, it seems as if though he's a shell of himself without wide receivers. And on top of that, old folks say this, not everybody's lying. The diva himself, all of a sudden, that coach over there is having the same issues that Mike McCarthy had. Now, why all of a sudden? Why all of a sudden we seeing multiple problems? And what's the main common denominator? Oh, it's Aaron Rodgers. But what I'm saying is keep away because they could be knocking on doors and picking up phone calls too to get them another wide receiver, right? And the same could be said even with the other nature boy, the guy that's 45 and still alive playing in the National Football League, Tom Brady. 45, probably need a Coke 45 right now. You know, hey, it is what it is. So we might have to get one of those wide receivers because what I don't want to hear or what I don't want to see is all of a sudden a resurgence of news out of Green Bay land. They are now picking up DJ Moore, you know, or something along that way of Aaron Rodgers now. News just in that Jerry Jeudy is going to Green Bay, you know. We don't want to hear that, you know. But it is what it is, Cowboy Nation. I just look at it like this. We may have to play keep away. But to someone's argument of what the Eagles did with Quinn, the sack man, Robert Quinn, the only way I look at Robert Quinn, because I'm right in the middle, you just don't have 18 sacks the previous year, right? He had 18 of them. And now he only have one sack, you know. But to Robert Quinn's defense, he was disgruntled. He was angry. He was frustrated. He didn't want to play there. And he lamented that to the people. It's summertime, right? It's not like this is a new situation. So 9 times out of 10, if you're not all in, then just maybe, you say, you know what, I will play so poorly that you would trade me. And it's crass upon him, right? If that's the case in a scenario, because you can't go from 18 sacks And in 7 games, you get only 1. So what I don't want to happen if he go over there to Eagles land, right? Now you got Big Jordan Davis. You got all of those other boys, Hassan, and then you got other guys like Brandon Graham and beyond. You know, you got all of those boys there. Now he got a revived mind, and he's saying, all right, I want to play football now, you know? So I don't want that to happen. And I'm not saying that I'm worried at all. No, don't take this as worried talk. But this is just plain old football talk. You know how it is, right? Roberto Quinn, yeah. Old and cranky, yes, indeed. You know, I used to play pickup basketball, and old man would say, hey, man, y'all better watch out. I got one more left in me, right? I got one more left in me. And then every now and then, every other game, you will still see that one more in him, you know. So we don't want that at all. Cowboy Nation, how my audio? Is my audio straight? Let me know. Give me a countdown. Yeah. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's better now. I don't know why I got it turned up, but it's not affecting on my end. So we'll figure it out. Law, do you think we can still get Sue? I said in my morning video earlier, I said you got all this season to get Sue. But what I don't want to do is commit to a lady too quickly, right? You still want to be able to peruse, right? Sort your royal oats. You got into the trade deadline. And then after the trade deadline, if no one, because let's be real about it, Cowboy Nation, they sprinkling some trade offers out there with our guys, right? They may do it in a sleazy way, but you already know that they are sprinkling. And I don't give a dog what they say. Nah, man, you know, Neville Gallimore, we like the body. We like this and that about the body of Neville Gallimore. And we like this and that, but why he's a healthy scratch? Right? Why would you put a perfectly healthy person on the bench who have that type of capabilities of an impact, right? So they putting trade offers out there. They'll play coy and say, nah, man, you know, we ain't really thinking about trading. But if I'm the Cowboys, and if I'm looking up, let me pull up something. Let me pull up this right here. If I'm looking at these stats of Anthony Brown, and I'm listening in to the reasonings that Jonathan Hankins, the reason why they got rid of him in Raiders land, because they wanted to give their youth a chance in a situation to play. Now, I do know that their record per se is a whole lot different than ours, right? Right, because the Raiders ain't winning much over there. And they wanted to give their young guys an opportunity to play. But I'm looking at this right here, Anthony Get Down Brown, or Anthony I Get Burnt Brown, solo tackles 25. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But I'm looking at the missed tackles of 9, right? And I'm looking at the passer rating when targeted or passer rating allowed is 91.9 for your mind. It's a lot of 9s in there, baby. And then I'm looking at targets. If you can see from what I see, 55. There's no other DB is targeted more than Anthony Brown. Now, that could be cause and effect. You got Trayvon Diggs over there, and you don't want to poke the bear on Trayvon Diggs' side, but there could be a situation that they're picking on Brown, but that's what the stats say when I read them. So you mean to tell me you are targeted it 55 times and you can't even touch the ball? You got 0, a goose egg as it relates to the interceptions, and I look at yards or receptions allowed, you're 34th, okay? Oh, you second in the NFL, you're allowed 34? Where do these stats speak of? They speak of, hey, they targeting Anthony Brown, right? Come on. Can y'all read? Do y'all turn on the TV and say? Like, at this point, I'm looking at Anthony, and I'm saying, like, all right, AB, if he deserved to be called AB, by the way, you know. All right, AB. Madea had a movie out a couple of years ago, about a decade ago. I could do bad all by myself or something like that. I can literally transpose that information and relegate it to this Cowboy Nation without hesitations nor deviations to the nation. that I can literally say I can do bad with Kelvin Joseph out there. At least I'm knowing I'm getting something out of it, huh? At least I know that I'm getting, hey, the ceiling aspect, because I know that he's not playing at his ceiling point yet. I know where Anthony Brown is at as far as his ceiling. We've seen it. I can do bad with Nashawn Wright out there. I can literally do bad by kicking Dayron Bland out there, squeezing Kelvin Joseph inside, or Nashawn, or giving a Marquise Bell a situation. And I can put this dude, Anthony Brown, before he get too badly away from trade situations and say, hey, is there a team that will be willing to pick this up so that I can give my youth the development time for your mind, right? Come on. y'all follow with me? Kevin Joseph gonna tackle, right? It's Kevin time, right? You know, I'm just trying to figure if somebody disagree. Let me see if anybody disagree. Law, what do you think about our pass blocking situation with if Zeke is out? I'm glad you brought that up to my attention. Now, Zeke, they gave him a spell. Zeke did say in the presser that he is willing to get out there, and he feels as if though he will be able to play. If it don't swell up, you know how this thing goes. Give the man 3 days to have a recovery situation, and I would take a 70 to an 80% Zeke over 100% just Tony Pollard in the backfield blocking, you know, because I love Zeke, I love Tony, but I've seen game one. And if you go back and look at game one tape, you know, this year, you can argue that the dude will get your quarterback cream because he's just not going to put his nose deep down in there, right, in certain situations. Now, I'm not dogging Tony. I'm not saying that he can't block, but he's not that blocker like Ezekiel, right? So it's a situation where it's give me a hobble Zeke and mix this thing in. Maybe you will still give Tony the more reps and carrying, but even in passing down situations, you still keep 2-1 back there in the backfield, right? That's just my philosophy of it, right? And please don't sleep on Malik Davis. I think that he did a serviceable job this offseason and did a wonderful job in the preseason as it relates to blocking. You see where I got you, you know. Jay Worthy, he says, shout out to you, man, for the super chat. The first super chat of the day, man. I thank you so much. Law, we said it once, and we'll say it again. 3rd and Brown got to go. All the Garrett guys are weak links on our defense. Facts, huh? He tipped it off with facts. All right, so 3rd and Brown. Yeah. If you look back at what he's saying is that if you look back, even though he had an INT in the 49ers game, 3rd down, they look for Brown. And any major game that we had last year, 3rd down, look for Brown. And in this game, in this week, or in this past week, 3rd and 14, look for Brown, right? Now, the good thing is that we kind of offset it by blitzing Parsons on that side. You look at, if you go and look at all of his sacks, you see majority of it come from that side of the field. You got D-Law on that side, so the quarterback got to hurry up and throw that ball. And if Brown's sitting on routes, he should at least have him. And I'm not picking at Brown. Don't get me wrong, Cowboy Nation. I'm not beating up Brown. This is not for me to beat him up, right? And I ain't shanking the man with the butter knife. But if you target it, you know, there's no other person that play in a National Football League that's targeted it more. You should at least see one, right? Try that again, right? You got to at least see one. Like 55 targets, he should have at least one. maybe he'll get it this weekend, right? Look, the moment we start talking bad about him, he will start doing some good things. Yep, Brown blocks, though. Are you talking about Noah Brown? Noah Brown is pretty good at blocking. Anthony Brown, LVE, and Barr, the last week links. This is from Beast Mode. Blessing comes in multiple ways, right? Just blessing comes in disguises. And I'm not making light of this out of Jordan Lewis, but we saw on tape, and shout out to him for what he did. He's always tend to show up against the Detroit Lions, by the way, maybe because he's from Detroit area and he just want to put on for his city and things like that and beyond. But no hate, no shade, no jade, no ill will toward Jordan Lewis, but this could be a blessing in disguise for us to see Day'Ron Bland. And speaking of that, this weekend, Cowboys Experience, we will have Day'Ron Bland in the house. Yeah, let me give me a horn sound. So we will have Damone Clark in the house. Woo! Shout out to Damone Clark, and we will have Slam Williams in the house. We will put it down. So that's Slam Williams, Day'Ron Bland, and Damone Clark. All three of those guys will be at the Cowboys Experience this weekend. So don't meet me there, beat me there at Toyota Music Factory between the hours. Get there early. Get there around 1 o'clock because it kick off at 1:30. But get there a little early. I'll set up around 12:30, 12:45-ish. But come on out. We will have a blast with those young guys. And at this point, I can't wait. Especially to talk back to Day'Ron, Damone Clark, and Sam I Am Williams. Appreciate him. And somebody get those bots up out of there. Get those bots up out of there. Come on, man. Let me get those bots out of there myself. Bam, to get the bots up out of there. Y'all appreciate y'all so much. Thomas A. Garrett says, my cousin used to watch J. Lou in high school in Detroit. Yeah, J. Lou is a real good guy. Met his people and his wife and everything, and it was just good people, man. J. Lou is a real good person, a good father, and a good person to hang out with. And there's no hating or no shade at him. Appreciate you, Miss Scouting Pro. Thank you for jumping in. Bears covering again 2 weeks now. Okay. All right, so let's I do have some audio from 105.3 The Fan. They got a chance. Shout out to my guy, Kelvin Gray and Reggie. Let's listen to them right quick. I think that they got some good audio here.
Jonathan Hankins in at D tackle, and that raises some questions as you've seen Neville Gallimore become like what some were calling a healthy scratch this weekend. Where does Neville Gallimore stand with this team, with this coaching staff? What have you heard?
Yeah, that's a great question because I take it back to really that open practice they had in training camp with the Broncos in Denver. And after that practice, the first practice was over, Neville talked about how, man, I wish somebody would have given me a heads up about the altitude, and talking about how he was winded early on in practice after the first few reps. I don't think that sat very well with the coaching staff. And if you notice in the preseason, you get into that third preseason game, fourth quarter, not many starters are playing. In fact, none, except for Neville Gallimore. And you're just kind of like, man, someone seems like they're in the doghouse. And so
before he go into more details of all of that, look, just because you're in the doghouse doesn't mean that you can't get out of it. Let me repeat. Just because you're in the doghouse doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to get out of it. There was a situation and scenario that last year, my guy, he was definitely in the doghouse. Yes, Donovan Wilson was deep down in the doghouse, sleeping outside of the doghouse, right? Couldn't even sleep in the doghouse, had to sleep outside of the doghouse. Why? Hey, we got, voluntary mini camp, and I don't have to be there. I'm not going there. I got knee stuff that I need to work on. Oh, and it's a new coaching staff. They're like, all right. Oh, you Brody, huh? You Brody, huh? You don't want to show up. You too good to hang out with the boys. Okay, all right. Uh-huh. Oh, shoe program. I'll have you play football in Pelican Bay. You don't want to show up? Okay, all right. And then, he got out there on the field. His leash was this short, literally, right? And then he fought, and then he fought. It was just no recovery because J-Rock got that spot. Shoo. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Turn me around. He made sure he wasn't going to give that spot back to Donovan Wilson, right? And had balled out. And then when Donovan got a chance to show up a little time here and there, they're like, that J-Rock is pretty good right now, bro. We ain't going to be able to put you out there, you know. But lo and behold, this offseason, Dono. Now it's like the inverse. It's like a lot of people, a third of the Cowboy Nation would say, hey, man, that's Donovan Wilson's spot now. J-Rock, we tired of seeing you out there. Boy, but it is what it is. But shout out to those boys, man. It's always good to know that you can fight out of the dog. You can fight yourself and get out of the doghouse and get back out there on the field, but you got to prove it. And the problem is with Neville Gallimore is that you got a lot of dogs. You don't have like this one or two dogs. You got a whole heap of dogs over there that said, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Because those boys got that spot and they refuse. Osas, then you have Tristan biting, chomping at the bit, right? He's saying, hey, contract year for me, player. And then you had Big Bo, who snatched that position away from Gallimore. So it is a terrible situation for him. It is. It's horrible. But I like Neville. I like what he did with his body, his frame, and his mind, and said, you know what, although I was drafted to be a 3 tech, the under tackle to get upfield, hey, I switched everything over to be a 1 tech. And now this is how you treat me. This is what you do to me,
As the season has gone on, it kind of, it's been something on my radar. And then for him to be inactive, and I understand that, Stephen Jones came out on your guys' station and he talked about how it's one of those things where he's dealing with some injury stuff and so that factored in. But then, when we talked to Mike McCarthy yesterday, he mentioned that, yeah, he's dealing with some stuff, but he was medically cleared to play in that game as a full participant in practice. And then Mike said at the end, it's coach's decision. It was coach's being his decision to go with Tristan Hill over Neville Gallimore. And I don't think many people would have had that on their bingo card to start the season or back in training camp I know I figured if Neville Gallimore is healthy, then Neville Gallimore will be in the lineup. And so there has to be something there, a disconnect with the coaching staff. I don't think that Jonathan Hankins was added just because they're ready to move on from Neville Gallimore. I think Jonathan Hankins was added because they need help stopping the run, and that's his specialty. And adding him should help, on those first and second down clear running situations. But no, Gallimore is something to keep an eye on because that didn't make a lot of sense that he was inactive for that game. I mean, his strengths are pass rushing more so than Hankins, so they're not a complete, perfect comp or anything like that. But anytime you're adding a D tackle and you are a D tackle who is just inactive, there's no way that sits well with you.
No doubt, man. Good report by John Machota, one of the best in the business, man. My go-to guy on Twitter. So be sure to let John Machota know, man. That law, man. He loves you, man. You bring in some great content for the nation, and John Machota. Here's my thoughts on this of what he said, and I truly believe that his eyes right there, out there, he don't look for any, hey, I need to be the first one to do this, or I need to fabricate a story. His eyes are pretty much true, right? For what he sees, he's not going to twist his tongue with what he sees and bite his tongue of what he said, right? It's rarely you see John Machota have an ill-advised post, right? So I'm just telling y'all, he's well suited in, well respected, and he's straight business. No fanboy stuff, right? Here's my thoughts with it. 1,000 truths. The Cowboys are in a good problem situation. But what we can't be is hoarders, right? We can't hold on to all of these guys. Basham is played out of his mind during training camp, right? And the few sparks that he had in the dress rehearsal, whatever they call that mess, as far as the preseason pre-stuff, he picked off Russell Wilson. You know, it could be him. It could be technically Basham, the reason why Russell is not the Russell that we know. He could have shattered his confidence, for crying out loud. So that could be the situation. You can't hold on to everything. So what you got to do is manage your portfolio well, right? You can't have everything on one side, and then when it's time for you to use certain other resources, you one-sided. You got to figure out how to balance this out, right? How can I take some guys who got ending contracts and get something back in return? How can I take guys who I know that I can't start in a game that would be healthy scratches and move some stuff around to get something back in return? Not being greedy, right? Zeke is hurt, Matt Reed, yeah, but so he's recovering. Yeah, you're right. But you can't be greedy. You got to figure out how you can balance your books properly so that you can be ready for the storm that will come. Old folks, right? I can't make this stuff up. Either you're going into a storm or you're coming out of one, right? And you got to say through the process, this too shall pass. But you got to figure out and make sure that you are protecting yourself down the line, right? And you got to get rid of some things that's valuable to you to have something in return valuable, you know. So the Cowboys, for many of years, we hold on to things too long, and when it's time to discard said things, we get nothing in return. And I don't feel like going down that list. But Iceberg says Gallimore and Tolbert are trade baits. I think that Tolbert, the Cowboys, sullied that from the jump. Jalen Tolbert, you know, if it was anybody that you should have got those valuable reps outside of Dennis Houston, shout out to him. He's my dog. He's my guy. Shout out to his people. Should have been your third-round draft pick, right? But the Cowboys pushed all of their eggs into one corner of the basket, and they started playing around with it, and they dropped it, and it bust everywhere. And I ain't talking about busted wide open, and I tell her bring it back. No, it was nobody beasting, because this egg that busted over there was Dennis Houston week 1. And you had Jalen Tolbert, where is he, for a couple of weeks. So now people are looking at him like, hey, South Alabama went to the Cowboys, biggest, brightest stage of all time, and we don't even can account for this dude catching a single pass in the National Football League. They already sullied it. They muddied the waters. So my thing is, it takes 3 years to properly grade a draft pick. I'm on record right now. I hope that Jalen Tolbert can prove me wrong. But I'm on record right now saying that, hey, that third-round draft pick, those precious picks that John Stephen Jones been talking about, looking worthless right now. Third-round draft pick, Jalen Tolbert, nowhere to see the field. Third-round draft pick a year from now, a year removed from now, what have you. Nashawn Wright can't even find the field, right? Kelvin Joseph, second-round draft pick, can't find the field. So we got these draft picks, and we are self-sabotaging them right now. You know what I'm saying? Where is Simmons? What round was Simmons? Was he 4th or 5th? He's gone, right? Well, he's still here, but he's not even playing. Yeah, so we are in a situation. Even all of these draft picks, baby. What's the big boy who wore 95 before 95 years now from Arkansas? I'm forgetting his name. He's on the Washington team. Nowhere to be found. So we looking good with some of our draft picks, but we looking terrible at the same time. Yeah. Spock, can you save me? Law, did the Broncos win the Super Bowl already? I remember during the offseason, Wilson's supposed to make them champs. One QB doesn't make a team. Wrong button, but I got the right one now. Yeah. Ridgeway, appreciate you. His name Jonathan too, right? So we got rid of a Jonathan. Now we brought in a Jonathan. We gave both Jonathans the 95. How about that, huh? The Jonathan Ridgeway, or is it just John? Yeah. So many people before this season kicked off, they was like, get rid of Dak, bring in Russell. He'll take us straight to the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson with this team, he won't even need to do this and that, and we go straight to the Super Bowl. How that's working, right? How is Aaron Rodgers working too without wide receivers? It's crazy. The Vanilla Gorilla, yeah, he's gone.
It's also convenient because they watched the Chicago Bears run for 241 yards on a Bill Belichick defense on Monday Night Football. The timing not bad bringing in Jonathan Hankins after what Chicago did to New England.
Iceberg killed Russ Cake Cook, yeah. Russ Cake Cook without that easy baking oven, with that George Foreman. He was a chef. He was a chef of all chefs with that air fryer. Shout out to the air fryer users out there. They say, all right, we go take away the George Foreman, right? We go take away the easy bake oven. We gonna take away the air fryer. You're gonna have to cook from scratch. Wait a minute now. Hold on, Russ. What happened to that cooking you was doing? Hey, man, let me tell you something. You can only trick people for so long. He was a king. If you're an air fryer cooker, let me know, man. There's some good recipes out there, things like that. But it is what it is, He ain't no good cooker without that air fryer. But they got all of the ingredients, man. They got Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler. They got 2 running backs that's monsters. They got a nice defense. What you mean, Law? Well, that goes to show you. That they got all of that food. Some people that don't know how to cook, have you ever noticed? You open up their refrigerator, they got all types of eggs and steaks and all good food in there, ribeyes and pork chops. And I'm not saying that you eat that stuff, but in general, they got all of that stuff. But say there ain't nothing to eat in there because they can't cook. But, shout out to everybody that's watching. But do you guys remember back in the days when you're trying to impress a certain person? You try to lie to kick it yourself. You go buy some gourmet stuff that's already pre-cooked, and then you act like you put it in the skillet or the pot, and you say, baby, yeah, I cooked that. You know what I'm saying? That's what Russell Wilson did, basically.
Last night, when you started thinking about this defense, who's obviously been really good against getting after the quarterback this year. What now does this defense look like in your mind with Hankins added to the rotation, and what that can mean for the continued growth and possible ceiling for this defense here?
Yeah, well, I think he helps a lot with the run, just from a standpoint of they're not going to be asking probably as much from him as the Raiders were. So there's probably a better chance in you keeping him fresh. And you can pair him with Quentin Bohanna and Osa Odighizuwa, and that should help some things up the middle, whether it be getting tackles himself or just clearing space so that the guys like Leighton Vander Esch can make tackles and get to these backs so that there aren't these big gains in the running game like we've seen. And frankly, to me, that's their only weakness has been. And I don't want to sit here and say that their run defense has been awful, because obviously we've seen awful Cowboys run defense 2 years ago. But you look at the rest of that team on defense, and you're like, man, if they can stop the run consistently, yeah. I mean, they're a problem for everyone because they want you to go back and pass. They want to let the Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrences and Dorrance Armstrongs and Dante Fowlers, they want them to be able to pin their ears back and get after you. Sam Williams. Mike McCarthy's even said himself, if I was playing us, I would be trying to run the ball because I don't want to sit back and throw with these pass rushers. So if they can consistently stop the run, well, then you're just feeding into exactly what they want. And so that's why, the plan for that Eagles game, the hope was that they could get a lead early so that they could pin their ears back and they could make Jalen Hurts into more of a passer. But that obviously never happened. But when they play and they see the Eagles again on Christmas Eve, I promise you that'll be the game plan.
We're talking to the homie John Machota of The Athletic. And speaking of, trying to make an opponent pass, in doing so, you typically would lean on a quarterback or a cornerback core that you felt very comfortable with, that you've had intact for a little while. You lose Jordan Lewis for the rest of the season, and that raises some questions as to who filters in, who takes some of those snaps. Do we have any clarity on who the coaching staff likes between Deron Bland, Kelvin Joseph, and maybe even Deshaun Wright, and how they'll be utilized?
All right, before he go into that, we've seen this before. We've seen this strategy before, and it hit us in the face. And one thing I can tell you guys about this administration is that at least we are making provisions to correct this before it hit us in the face with the front. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2018, we were the 6th-ranked defense. Let me repeat. The Cowboys were the 6th-ranked defense in the National Football League. That's where you had your hot boy hat, shirts, trinkets, coolers, everybody asking, hey, can I be a hot boy? Can I get initiated? You had a hot boy this, and a hot boy that. Even the 49ers was trying to take on, hey, can we be the hot boys, and then put an extra Z on the end of it. So, it is what it is at this point. But the one key determined factor to blow all of that up was, let me see if I can pull it up on my Twitter again, because I think I brought this up on the final word, and let me see if I can find it. And this is not me hating at all. It's somewhere down here. Here we go. Bam, here we go. That Coach Eberflus, right? He knew the Cowboys personnel. He knew the philosophy of the offensive coordinator at the time. And truth be told, it didn't change that much from Jason Garrett to Kellen Moore. So it is what it is. He knew the weaknesses of the defense too, because he scouted everybody, right? So they ran the ball on the offensive side of the coin. Now, that blueprint wasn't revealed until that game, because a lot of teams was like, Cowboys, they red hot. They scoring left and right with Amari Cooper. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott was a monster that year. No one had more receptions than Ezekiel Elliott on this team, and he was a wide receiver / running back. He led the team in receptions, I believe, with 88 or 89 or something like that in 2018. But defense was pretty much solid. Byron Jones was locked down, right? He didn't do INTs, but you couldn't throw it his way. And we still had issues with the other cornerback, but that's a story of another day. The Cowboys were ranked 6th. Just couldn't stop the nosebleed. Couldn't stop the run. But, baby, if we fool around and score first, it's over. So the Cowboys heading into this year, 2022, with what John Machota just said about the philosophy, if we score first, then our DBs can sit on routes and our front can pin their ears back and just go hit, chase, and get to the quarterback. Shoot, that's hell to deal with on earth, because you got all of those guys that's quick. 4-4 guys like Sam, slamming Sam, right? 4-3 guys like Parsons, a nuanced guy with his hand techniques like D-Law, right? And then as soon as you get tired of those boys, you have Dorrance Armstrong. And then as soon as you figure out DA, you got Dante Fowler saying, hey, I want some. Give me some. Give me what you got for a sack. And then Parsons sit there and say, hey, I got 5 on it, right? So that's why this team, nobody in the National Football League got more sacks than the Cowboys. Yep. Jay Versus says, if we get a wide receiver, shout out to him for I'm gonna hit my brother up too. We're gonna try to do the bearded podcast tonight. I'm gonna hit my brother up too, if he's ready. You know, it's 7:18 where I'm at. I'm just making up for lost time, all right? Because I didn't go live earlier today. Had other business things. It's gonna be nice because I got a new sponsor, and I really appreciate them so much. And I had to do some business stuff, and I really appreciate y'all. Y'all know the nation gonna still give you some views, right? And they say it's better to be seen than viewed anyhow. So you guys see me now. If we get a wide receiver, will Kellen know how to use them? MG only got 2 receptions last game. How can we expect anything to change with an additional wide receiver? This is from my dog, my homie, Jay Versick. How would Kellen Moore utilize him? In my humble opinion, I'm not faulting everything in passing wise to Kellen Moore on this. I think in the hearts of hearts, we all know that Gallup, he ain't the same Gallup, right? And we've seen that he's I ain't gonna say 2 steps slow or anything. I think he's a half a step slow. I ain't gonna say he's a step slow. He's a half a step slow. And we got to contextualize it. He got to get in rhythm with Dak Prescott. And by him being a half a step slow, less separation, less explosiveness out of his jumps and everything like that, the concentration, things like that is really, really on him. Even though he had a nice grab in the Rams game, right? But sometimes, man, you know, those type of recoveries, you can have one good game and then the next week, shoot, that one good game still on you, right? Just like Zeke, after he got hit, bam! Synovial fluids kind of protected him a little bit, right? Eating right and all of that stuff, right? But the next day, he was feeling it. That's why he didn't practice today, right? Or he didn't really do anything Monday, probably. So you got to look at it like that. Sometimes, man, when you play in this level of sport, it may not get you the day of the game, those endorphins and everything else all through your body. But that next day when it's time for your body to settle down and those cells to rejuvenate, it takes longer. And I think that that's what's going on with MG. I just truly believe if the Cowboys go get another wide receiver, you see things open up for the other guys. That's how I look at it. Shout out to you, Spock. You ready to see Black Panther 2? Yeah, I got to go see Black Panther 2. You know, I can't wait to see that too. But I'm seeing Black Adam on Friday, so don't y'all spoil it for me. I heard The Rock was playing out of his mind in that movie. Okay.
Yeah, I mean the coaching staff isn't going to just come out and say,
"Sure,
we're fine. We got Deron Bland," but I doubt they're losing a ton of sleep because of how highly they think of Deron Bland. Now, they love Jordan Lewis, and they would obviously prefer to have Jordan Lewis's experience, the way he's played the position. Dan Quinn loves Jordan Lewis for several reasons. But also, if you're an NFL coach, you got to be pretty realistic that, hey, in a long season and the way this game's played, we're going to lose some players. And obviously, like the Cowboys have with their starting quarterback that missed 5 games. So that stuff's going to happen. Their left tackle that's missing most of the season. So that's part of it. And it's got to be next man up, and that's easier said than done. But because of what Deron Bland did in training camp and in the preseason and in the game where he filled in and started for Jordan Lewis earlier in the year against Washington, I don't think there's any doubt that he's the guy that they're going to put in there. And, yeah, I mean, he's a rookie. There'll be there'll be a little bit of growing pains here or there, but I think that he's in a great spot because that's where his natural position is, at least they feel like, is in that slot position. I just wonder now what happens, because now everybody else moves up one spot in the depth chart, and then that means the next guys up are Kelvin Joseph and Nashawn Wright, who, hey, those are guys they drafted last year pretty highly, second and third round. So I think they want to see what they can get from them. But there's a little bit more unknown there. They certainly feel more comfortable with Jerron Bland than they do right now with Joseph or Wright.
Man, don't you know how crazy this world is, man? Just never look at your spot and position in life. That's what that means right there, you know. Just grind hard, work hard, because think about it, you know. Kelvin Joseph, second-round draft pick, Nashawn, third-round draft pick a year prior to Daron Bland, who's a rookie this year, and he wasn't a second nor third-round draft pick. Can y'all put down what round he went to? He went from, I think it was, what round Daron Bland? What round Daron Bland is? Yeah, I know my clips are loud, and I got them banging, and then my voice is right at peak. Is that a moderance, or y'all want me to raise my voice up to that high peak? Yeah, like, but right there. I can raise mine, but then it sounds like I'm yelling at you, you know? 6th round, okay. Y'all want me to do that? I can raise mine. 5th round, okay? That's better. So y'all can have that, you know, frequency the equivalency, you know. 5th or 6th. So they let you know, man, in life, man, you got to continue to fight. You got to continue to make sure that nothing is stopping you, basically. It's a lot better. Okay. Look at you. You know, we got some audio text in the house, man. I appreciate y'all. All right, so that's better, right? You can hear me better. Hail Mary, raise your sound. Okay, I'm there. I'm so high.
Let's
go
switch
with it.
our conversation a little bit to the offensive side of things. From your perspective now going forward with Dak Prescott back in the fold, what do you think the identity of this offense needs to continue to be? Obviously, with establishing the run game with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, what does this offense look like in your mind now that Dak Prescott is back?
Well, yeah, I think they got to stay with running the ball. And I don't know that that's necessarily their greatest strength. I mean, I feel like it is with what this offensive line does best and what this team does defensively. You're better off to, you know, being a good run team and just passing when you need to. But you would hope with having a Michael Gallup and the way that these tight ends have stepped up and you know, having a CeeDee Lamb that, you know, and obviously having a $40 million quarterback that you'll be able to throw the ball when you need to. But I don't think they're going away from leading with the run. I think that's the way it's going to be. Yeah. I don't think Dak will just be throwing 20, 25 times a game. I think it'll get closer to 30, and that kind of depends on what opponents are able to do. But the Cowboys say they want balance, but I think that they would love to get that running game going and just lean on that for as long as they can, just because of, like I said, that's the best thing that this offensive line does is run block. So that's to their strength, that's to Zeke's strength, that's to Pollard's strength, and that's to the defensive strength. So it sucks to the people that want to see the big points or have Cowboys players in their fantasy teams, but I just think that they have found a formula that they believe works. And let's be honest, if you look at the rest of the NFC, it's that conference is there for the taking.
No doubt. Right now, the Cowboys are ranked 3rd in this division, and we got ways to go, Cowboy Nation. I'm not sitting here saying that it's a walk in the park. No, I want the best, right? You battle through that, then all of a sudden, when you get to the playoff, it's a breeze. I remember back in the 90s, they were saying the Super Bowl was in the NFC. The Cowboys versus the Niners. It's like when those two teams played each other, whoever wins, they're going to win the Super Bowl, basically, because they played each other rough and rugged, you know. And then as soon as the Cowboys and the Niners got nicked up out of there, Green Bay was like, all right, let me get a piece of it. Let me get in on this, you know. So it's a situation, and of course we know the earlier part of the 90s, the Washington team and what have you, and the Giants. So it is what it is. The NFC is back, especially the East. We're making our names be told and heard out there. So I look at that, Cowboy Nation, that, of course, I agree with John Machota. But I disagree to this point. You shouldn't have to look at a game of him throwing 30 to 35 times if you stick to the formula. Run that rock, everything else will declare it to be 20 to 25 attempts. If you keep that balanced approach and if you run that rock, I promise you, man, it will open up so many things that the daggers will be there for the quarterback. The single high safety that's now got to determine, do he cheat to Lamb's side or Gallup? But we got to be very good on the run. Cowboy Nation, and I appreciate everybody for tuning in. 185 likes to 500. Shame. I feel you, dog. Let me hit that shame. Come on.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
It's a shame. Y'all hit that like button. Y'all elevate this thing all the way up. Cowboy Nation. What I'm going to do now, me and my brother, I'm going to reach out to him, and we should be doing the episode at maybe an hour and a half around 8:30 my time. And shout out to y'all for showing me love, man, and hitting 88 keys, baby. I appreciate you. 88,000. I appreciate you guys so much. 88 Club. That's remarkable. Over here on the YouTube, and 34 to 35,000 on the Facebook. I really appreciate the Facebook and as well as the YouTube. I thank Instagram too for allowing me to hit 30,000 there. We growing at massive numbers, and it's not because of me. It's not because of me. It's because of you all. And as I grow, we grow. As we grow, we all grow. And this is what we do, baby. Independent. I don't have the resources and things like that of most, but I make with what I got, and that's my passion. And I tell you guys, I pay you in time. That's why I always end. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours, right? So shout out to everybody, man. The Cowboys community is strong. Right, other communities are out there. They even gravitate into this community. They hit me up all the time. They ask for tips and things like that, and I donate that over to people and beyond. Shout out to my Amazon crew. Shout out to my Roku crew. Shout out to everybody, man, that allowed me to get to this point. Shout out to 105, 1310, The Ticket. Shout out to all of those people, man. Cowboys.com. And Derek Eagleton, man, appreciate him and what he inspired all of us to do. So y'all be sure to reach out to Derek Eagleton and let him know that Cowboy Nation, Law Nation says shout out to you, man. I just want to give you a shout out, right? When you're going to interview Herschel Walker, laugh out loud. Shout out to Herschel too, man. He's a police officer at heart, right? And he's running for it over there in Georgia, and we hope all is well with him and all what he think of this world and this economy. Shout out to him. Herschel Walker, the grind is necessarily, and shout out to him. I only met him once, so he's a real good guy. And shout out to my brother, man, the Twin Empire, Twin Maker. We have a great time back and forth. He is a diehard Niner fan, and we gonna get things going. What about the interview for Felix Jones? Shout out to him, and I don't mean no ill will to Felix, man. Shout out to him. He just sad, man, because he went to the Eagles land, and that's a point of no way of return, because even Primetime knew not to go to the Eagles, right? He went to the Washington team. Maybe forgive him a little bit, but Prime was never homegrown either. I couldn't stand Prime. Look, true story. I laid on the floor when Prime PI'd my guy, the playmakers, straight up PI. I was hurt for years still, even when Prime came over to the Dallas Cowboys, I was like, I can't stand Prime. I couldn't stand Prime. I couldn't stand him. Couldn't stand Prime at all. And Twin will let you know. And even when he was on the team, I was still looking at him like, come on, man. But it is what it is. Prime is a hired mercenary. Yeah. Twin loved Prime, boy, even when he was with Atlanta, you know. But, you know, look what Prime is doing now, you know, for our Jackson State University. You know, shout out to him, man. You know, chips in 94 and 85. No, there's not. Look, lies. That was a play. Pass interference, man. I get mad to this day. You know, I get mad to this day, man. Love the song, How About Them Cowboys? Yes, indeed. How about them Cowboys? All right, y'all. Shout out to you, Spock, man. Appreciate you so much. We going to get on up out of here. I really appreciate everybody for this episode. The status is Ezekiel Elliott still on the limb, right? Here's the situation. The Cowboys still may be in contentions to get these guys. It could be a situation. I got my money on the table for Brandon Cooks. You know, shout out to the big boy Chase. Whatever his name is, Claypool, right? Yeah, Claypool. Shout out to him and Jerry Jody. But I think that those boys are going to want too much. But it is what it is. Gina says with the J, says it's a P.I. all day. Yeah, you already know, baby. P.I., you know. But shout out to him what he's doing now. He said he's swag, baby. If I ain't swag, who's swag, you know? So it is what it is, man. Shout out to him, too. Yeah, shout out to Robinson Jr., too. Eddie Jr., you know. But it is what it is, Cowboy Nation. As we continue to grind to shine, Cowboy Nation. Judy is the answer. This is for my guy, Big Sarge. Yeah. Judy. But for right now, our troops is Noah, get down, Brown, right? Gallup, MJ, CD Lamb, 88 Club. And something remarkable is going to happen this weekend, especially since I'm rocking 88 on the channel, right? I ought to put up a logo that says 8 and 8 for the whole time span that I have 88 up here. Because one of the greatest wide receivers of all time in my eyes, the playmaker, Michael Irvin. You know, my brother go back and forth with me with Jerry Rice versus Michael Irvin. But you got to understand that Michael Irvin, he was doing things on a whole different level. He was partying. He was clubbing. And baby, he had 4 or 5 cell phones in the 90s, right? Plus putting up numbers, baby. He wasn't a saint like your Jerry Rice. And he knew how to let things go. Jerry didn't. Jerry Rice will have his forehead started right here with the braids to the back, you know? What kind of wide receiver is that? Shout out to Jerry Rice with the hoop earring. The playmaker had a little jazz to it after he get that first down. The playmaker had a little spontaneity with his. Come on, man. They need to retire 88 because we're going to lay it straight. I ain't going to talk about what he had and what he was doing with the other extracurricular activities. And on top of that, the playmaker never had to use stickums, right? Jerry Rice used them stickums. But now if we can pass on some of the greatness and the exuberance and the philosophy of wearing that 88 to this 88, CD Lamb, this weekend, show out for your boy, Law Nation. Write this down. If you want a thing bad enough to go out there and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it. If all of your desires of it makes you quite mad enough that you don't get tired of it, and it makes you hold all things tawdry and cheap, 88. If life itself seems empty and useless without it, and all that you scheme and dream is about it, if you'll gladly go out there and sweat for it, fret for it, plan for it, or lose all terror of your mind for it, if you will simply, just simply go after the thing you want with all of your capacity, strength and scarcity, with faith, hope, and confidence and stirred pertinacity. If dogged and grim and besieged and beset it with the help of Almighty, you will get it. My mom said back to me when we was at 5,000 views or 5,000 subscribers, and I was thinking about giving up on YouTube because I got hit with left and right stuff. And good old mama, try not to cry. I'm about to cry. She said, one way or another. And I've been using that mantra, one way or another. And I love my mom. And that's why I'm still here with you guys. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Mama, I love you. Let's go. Choked up at the end. Woo, them tears falling down. Y'all can't see them, but man, I'm crying over here. That mama love is some date, baby. One way or another. Let's go.
Nowadays, nothing really excites me. Only one of me and nobody's like me. Phone ringing and I tell him it's ice. I got wifey on bling and she ice. Freeze, photo, please, no photos. Jeez, no, please, no photos. Hit the door and the domain just whole team here might need some. Still young, but I move like a new deal to my lawyer. If you're down in my management, I'm just
let's go.
Wait till I old producers saw the numbers one. Different colors in my baggy light. Chalk it up, talk of the town where you're talking up. Wanna get you a ring and you tough enough. Wanna get you new things with your pockets dull.
Yep.
I used to be quiet and out of luck. Now I move up and move humble cause the hate and the jealousy. My mama telling me count up your blessings and run it up.
Roll those credits for me, baby. I forgot to hit the button.
I got wifey on bling and she freeze, photo, please, no photos. Jeez, no, please, no photos. I keep giving game away.
Law,
I put game on layaway.
Nation,
I got paid to play today.
come on.
I get paid to stay away. I get paid on rainy days. I might make it rain today. I got paid off pain today. Thought it'd take the pain away. In my own lane, finger roll.
Let's go.
I would never sell my only soul. Heard your whole team was for sale.
Not ours, baby. Come on.
Who the realest, we might never know.
Y'all know who the realest is. Come on. Let's get it. Oh. Stay tuned, Cowboy Nation. We're going to have, like I said, Dayron Bland at the event. Sam Slam Williams, as well as Damone Clark. Let's go. Sam Williams a good dude, by the way. Y'all see him there. That's real right there, Cox. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Let's get it. Until next time, in a few minutes, we'll be right back. Me and my brother, the Twin Maker, we'll be live in a few. And play my other theme music. Slow it down a little bit. Yeah. They actually credit Parsons for this sack now. Yeah. all alone. It's danger. I follow. Shout out to Parsons. The Lion is always hungry. 8 sacks. I'm going to get on out of here, man. I'm still emotional, man. I got to. Woo. Let's go. Oh, that mama boy. Lord. Let's go. One love until next time. DC for life. Salute.